The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Well, Chris, tonight, sources with knowledge tell myself and Carl that Michael Cohen claims that then-candidate Donald Trump knew in advance about the June 2016 meeting in Trump Tower in which Russians were expected to offer his campaign dirt on Hillary Clinton. Crucially, these sources tell us that Cohen is willing to make that assertion to the special counsel Robert Mueller. Cohen alleges as well that he was present, along with several others, when Trump was informed of the Russians' offer. He was informed by Donald Trump Jr. About that offer. By Cohen's account, Trump approved going ahead with that meeting with the Russians. Now, we should note that our sources said Cohen does not have evidence such as audio recordings to corroborate his claim. A source familiar with Cohen's House testimony said he did not testify that Trump had advanced knowledge. Cohen's claims were not mentioned as well in separate reports issued by both Republicans and Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee.
What the hell is going on over here? Oh, this is unbelievable. So Michael Cohen is saying that, remember when Steve Bannon also said there is zero chance that Donald Jr. didn't bring, the Russian meeting, or the Russians right up to the 25th floor to Don's office and introduce them all. Remember that, Bannon? He was, peeved for a little while after he was let go because there was like some brouhaha between this camp of the Trump group and that camp of the Trump group, and the Jareds weren't getting along with the Bannons, and, we had all this infighting, sort of like the Beverly Hillbillies. And that's what it feels like having Donald Trump in the White House. I know he's supposedly a billionaire. We're going to find out real soon, because here's the other news. This guy, every time, on the Michael Cohen tape, we've played that a million times. I guess we could do it again. But on the Michael Cohen tape, there's a mention of how Michael Cohen is going to set up this company and that he's already talked to Allen Weisselberg.
Not right now. I'll be back though.
Michael Cohen mentioned his name in the secret recording between himself and then-candidate Donald Trump.
And I spoke to Allen about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be...
Listen, what financing?
The Allen that Cohen is referencing is Allen Weisselberg, the financial chief of the Trump Organization, who has now been subpoenaed to testify before a federal grand jury in New York in the criminal investigation of Cohen, according to the Wall Street Journal. The Journal describes him as the most senior person in the organization that's not a Trump, adding that he's handled the president's financial matters for years, and, quote, has also been linked to payments made to two women who alleged they had sexual encounters with Mr. Trump.
Replacing George this week is my chief financial officer, Allen Weisselberg.
He even once appeared as a judge on Trump's reality show, The Apprentice.
Can we use him anymore?
Oh, yeah.
The recorded conversation by Cohen, just one of more than 100 tapes seized by the government in April as part of the ongoing federal probe into Cohen's business dealings.
You're a genius.
Yeah. So every time I hear this name now, Weisselberg, I want to call him Walter White because, Walter White, wasn't he, what was he? Heisenberg, but he was really Walter White. I just, the whole thing, he's going to break bad, everybody. Heiselberg is going to break bad. Weisselberg, he's going to break bad. He's going to. Holy crap, this thing is getting so deep and dirty and what you're going to have here is the thug, Michael Cohen, testifying against the thug, Donald Trump, and thugette, Don Jr. Oh, my God. And then Heiselman or Heiselberg or, Walter White is the easiest thing to say because he's now Walter White. Okay, Walter White is actually going to have to show the books. He's the guy who does Donald Trump's freaking tax returns. His tax... He's the guy that moves the money around. He's the guy. I mean, he probably knows Wilbur Ross's home phone number, because that's probably where he moved the money to the Bank of Cyprus when our Commerce Secretary, Wilbur Ross, was at the Bank of Cyprus laundering, Russian money. Oh, God, this is getting so deep. It's getting so deep. I can't even tell you. So here you have, Michael Cohen, who is obviously a world heavyweight champion liar. And you know that because there was a time when Rudy really liked him. You know, there was a time when Rudy was singing his praises, when Rudy said, how much he just loved Michael Cohen, what a good guy he was.
Are you concerned at all that Michael Cohen's going to cooperate with prosecutors?
No, I expect that he is going to cooperate with them. I don't think they'll be happy with it because he doesn't have any incriminating evidence about the president or himself.
Really?
The man is an honest, honorable lawyer, and Cohen's been lying all week. I mean, he's been lying for years. I mean, there's nobody that I know that knows him that hasn't warned me that if he's back is up against the wall, he'll lie like crazy because he's lied all his life. The man is an honest, honorable lawyer. No, I expected something like this.
And the Oscar goes to Rudy Giuliani for greatest liar ever on TV. Be an Emmy, not an Oscar. Sorry, my bad. Apologies to liberal Hollywood. Make my movie. Make my freaking movie. Hey, Rob Reiner. I just watched your LBJ. It was awesome. I really would love for you to make my movie, my story. It's unbelievable. And we can't get it published. Know why, Rob? I don't have enough Twitter followers. Can you imagine this? Anything over 1 million, they'll make any book at all. Doesn't matter how garbagey it is. But a real story, a good story, a sad story, a Me Too hashtag, like percolating to the top of what is current, dealing with somebody that, millions of people know and can relate to. That's, not unless you get to 1 million Twitter followers. Then you're an influencer, you see. And they'll publish any piece of dreck. All right, just had to get that in there. Oh, you know what else? Before we move on, because I this is going to be someday, because the hypocrisy, it's not even hypocrisy, the lying and the disinformation and the up is down and black is white and freedom is slavery and 2 and 2 is 5 and, war is peace. I mean, this Orwellian administration, honest to God, man, you cannot believe how confused so many people are. And my special gift is making it nice and simple and showing you how, depending on where they sit, is where they stand. If they're prosecuting a case, he's a great guy. If they're defending a case, he's a piece of dung. It's just so unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. And Rudy Giuliani, he probably tells himself something like, I was a prosecutor, but a lot of people, defect and become defense attorneys. That's where the real money is. That's what I'm going to do. Piece of dung, piece of trash. Unbelievable. He's been lying ever since he told America the truth by accident once back in the day when he said he was talking to active FBI agents and something big was coming because NYPD had taken Anthony Weiner's computer and sat on it and then handed it over to New York, the field office in New York, and sat on it some more and then just forked it over to Comey at the last possible second. That was their October surprise. And Rudy Giuliani was breaking the law and talking to active agents on that case. And what do? They project out and they say, oh no, it's the real FBI agents who did the real work. They were the corrupt ones, not Rudy Giuliani and the ones that were holding on to Anthony Weiner's computer. Oh, no, those aren't the bad apples. The bad apples are Strzok and Page. Why? Because they loved each other, everybody, and it was forbidden love. It was a love that should never have happened. And everybody, when you listen to Sean Hannity talk about John Edwards and stuff like that there and cheating, why, it's a matter of character. But when Trump does it, it's like nobody cares. They knew what they were getting. You see what I'm saying? Where you sit is where you stand. If he didn't sit at Fox News, well, he'd be sitting on a beach somewhere, spending his ill-gotten gains. But anything to get him off Fox, I just don't care. But I just wanted to play you this because we ran out of time yesterday. And Hector Jr., thank you very much. We're done with it. We raised more than $6,500. I think we hit about $7,000 because you guys gave. Some gave $5. Some of you gave $10. And it all added up. And now you have told some kid in Central America that getting an engineering degree was a great thing for him to have done, that you understand he's bettering his family's life, his life, and that you support him and you helped him buy a motorcycle, a little scooter motorcycle, $6,500 scooter. It's really a motor. It's a Himalayan. Those of you who, have lived in countries where motorcycles or scooters are the main form of transportation, you know what a Himalayan is. It's a really good, sturdy, rugged bike. It's good for, the dirt roads he's going to have to go up and down. And it's also good for, paved roads because there are lots of those. But he sent you a message. And for those of you who are not by, I will translate for you. It's very brief. I just want you to know he's standing on my lawn. And he's wearing the T-shirt I brought him last time in May. Remember I went in May? And poor Alan got hurt and we had to stay for 2 whole weeks. Wasn't that terrible? I actually felt bad for you and for me. But, okay, and we flatlined. Didn't raise any money. We still got to make up for those 2 weeks. Still got to. And it's almost the first of the month, everybody. Just saying. RandiRhodes.com. Support the show. But here's the message from Hector. Love him.
Hola a todos. Mi nombre es Hector. Estoy aquí desde Dominical, Costa Rica. En este momento estoy trabajando con mi papá, como pueden ver.
He says, hello, everybody. This is Hector. I'm in Costa Rica. As you can see, I'm working. That's why his pants are dirty. Yeah.
Aprovechar el momento para darles las gracias por toda la ayuda brindada.
I only wanted to take a moment to say thank you.
A todos la audiencia de Randi. A Randi en especial por toda la ayuda brindada. Y muchas
Randy's very special for helping me.
gracias. Pura vida.
Pura vida! They really do say that. We really do. We say pura vida.
Hola a todos. Mi nombre es Hector. Estoy aquí desde Dominical, Costa Rica. En este momento estoy trabajando con mi papá, como pueden ver. Quería aprovechar el momento para darles las gracias por toda la ayuda brindada. A todos la audiencia de Randi. A Randi en especial por toda la ayuda brindada. Y muchas gracias. Pura vida.
Pura vida. Yo soy una angel. They kept telling me all last night because we were having the hardest time getting the money released. We did do that. The money is being released. Our company will take the money. Our company will transfer the money to him through PayPal. We had to actually say that under penalty of perjury. It's just, I tell you, this online world, they don't make nothing easy. I thought it was supposed to make everything easy, is what it was. That would be incorrect. Anyway, you're welcome, Hector. Our entire audience, thank you. Thank you so much on behalf of Hector, his whole family, me. You made me look so good to my adopted family in Costa Rica. I could not have done any of this without you. I could not give him $6,500. I didn't have it. But we got it to him, $10 at a time. And I can't thank you enough. You changed the entire trajectory of that young man and his family's life. Thank you.
Thanks, Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Holy crap. Okay, so all this news is, today is Friday, and I just want to say this. I don't know, how this is going to finish as a Friday. I don't know who's going to break bad next, but I will tell you that with these 2 news stories breaking yesterday, and one of them was that Walter White, Heisenberg, Vesselnitskaya Vesselberg, the accountant, the CFO, the chief financial officer for the Trump organization and the Trump Foundation, too. That fraudulent charity of his, he's been subpoenaed. And, this is not the Mueller investigation. Somebody really ought to shake Rudy and wake him up because he has no idea. I mean, there's so many investigations in so many different venues. Manafort goes on trial next week, and that's just for tax fraud and for cooking the books and for, and then the lobbying case, that's later in September. So there's 2 trials for Manafort. So you got jury selection on Tuesday for that. Then you've got in the Southern District of New York, Mueller handed off to Michael Cohen. He handed Michael Cohen off to SDNY. And, of course, everybody has to realize that the president can't pardon, Michael Cohen, if Michael Cohen is convicted in New York State, right? Only federal stuff. So it's very interesting that that's like Michael Cohen is the insurance policy. Anyway, so you got all that. Then you got Weisselberg, Heisenberg, Walter White. You got Walter White, the accountant there, who's breaking bad. He's got a subpoena, and he's going to have. This is a man who spent his entire life making a family of low-life thugs into, like shiny thugs. You know what I mean? Just polishing the turds, making them look rich, making them look good. And he knows exactly what the Trump graveyard looks like. He knows where all the financial bodies are buried. He knows everything. So this is an interesting thing. And then the next thing we got was Cohen. First, he gave a tape this week, right? A tape that mentioned Weisselberg, that mentioned Heisenberg. And that, right after that, we found out, he's been subpoenaed by Southern District of New York, that grand jury there. He's going to have to go, and that's why Trump was saying, my family business is a red line. It's a red line. And he threatened Mueller, don't cross that red line. Don't cross it, right? So expect either a barrage of tweets tonight about Walter White and Weisselberg and Weisselberg and all this or whatever, that Mueller will be cataloging. Apparently, he's writing down all the tweets that Donald Trump has sent to see if he's obstructing justice, trying to taint the jury pool, trying to suborn perjury, trying to intimidate witnesses, trying to, like Comey, better hope there's no tapes like that. Sounded like a threat to most of us. It did. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing. But then we got this other story from Michael Cohen, where Cohen claims that Donald Trump knew in advance that Junior was having a meeting in Trump Tower with a Russian lawyer and a Russian oligarch, Rinat Akhmetshin, right? That's the Russian oligarch, with Natalia Veselnitskaya. She's the Russian lawyer, and she's the Russian lawyer on the Prevezon case, which was the case about the laundered money that was stolen from Bill Browder. All goes back to Bill Browder because the Magnitsky Act was the first sanctions ever put on Putin in 2012. And so that is the origin story. That is where, if you're looking to start a timeline, and, timelines, you can't beat them. There's nothing better in the world. You want to understand a story. We can't follow the money because we don't even have a tax return. We can't follow the money because we don't know what Weisselberg, Heisenberg, Walter White is going to testify to. So we can't follow the money. We just can't do it. I wish I could follow the money right into Michael Cohen's pocket and then into Prague, which he apparently entered through Italy. Do you know what I'm saying? I wish I could, but we can't because we don't have the document. See, Weisselberg does. And he's about to break bad because that old man ain't going to the, Danbury minimum security prison for the rest of his life for Donald Trump. I mean, he's already, served that. He was Fred Trump's accountant, too. And then Fred Trump's chief financial officer. And then Donald Trump's chief financial officer. And then he took over at the Trump Foundation. He's the treasurer at the Trump Foundation. I mean, come on. This guy knows where the NRA money came in. He knows everything. Everything. And remember, the NRA, I wish we could follow the money, because we could follow Marina Butina around the world. We could follow John Bolton right into Russia. We can follow David Keene, the past president of the NRA, right into Russia. We could find the vice president speaking in Russia. We could find, of the NRA, not Pence. So, but we can do a timeline. And if you need to do one, start it with Bill Browder getting the Magnitsky Act passed in the United States in 2012. This is when Putin lost his cookies. This is when he melted down. This is when he swore revenge. This is when he said, and he still brings up Bill Browder. In Helsinki, nobody even asked him about Bill Browder. Oh, and he's so cagey and he's so smart and he's such a, if he didn't have the power to kill people, do you think that Vladimir Putin would be the richest man alive? I say no. I think he's an idiot. Personally, he's just had the power of the KGB. He's had the power of, being able to arrest people, being able to intimidate people his whole entire adult life. Okay, he rigs elections for himself. And that's why he is who he is. And Donald Trump is no different. These are two peas in a pod. This is the Mutual Admiration Society, okay? And they love each other. dearly. But I think Putin's even embarrassed about the supine position that Donald Trump assumed in public, making the light shine even brighter on Putin, who confessed to having a motive. Yes, I did. And then the White House took that part out of the transcript, edited a video, literally proactively edited a video. That's how big of a liar Trump is. And so now what you have is Michael Cohen, the liar, and Donald Trump, the liar, lying about each other. What is the New York, what is the grand jury going to do with that? So what's important is what other people have said about various things. Now, if Cohen is claiming that Trump knew in advance of the 2016 Trump Tower meeting and that Junior was in the room and that there were others in the room, then we're left to look at our timeline to see who else might have been in the room. So the first thing you do is look at who else was in the meeting. Well, it was Paul Manafort, who goes on trial next week. Can't really take his word for jack crap because he's a world heavyweight champion liar. That's why he's got 2 trials coming up for lying on his taxes, for fraud, everything else, not registering as a foreign lobby, the whole 9 yards, right? Okay, so scratch him off. Then we have Junior, who we know lied and continues to lie. How do we know Junior lied? How do we know that? Well, see, there's this thing called videotape. It's really a freaking awesome little tool. And here is Don Jr. reacting to the fact that Russians hacked the election on July 24th, 2016. Now, what's interesting about that date on the timeline is the month before that, he met with the Russians. And he had already texted them, Emin Agarilov and Aris Agarilov, that if they were offering dirt on behalf of the government of Russia, saying that we support your father, the government of Russia does, and we would like to give you dirt. And his response to that was, if it's what you say it is, I love it. 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 And he kicked. Right? And then he did have the meeting. And what's so interesting about it is that the meeting was arranged on June 6th, 2016. On June 7th, 2016, they hadn't had the meeting yet, but they knew the meeting was going to happen in 2 days. Right? Meeting was confirmed on the 6th of June, 2016. On the 7th of June, 2016, Donald Trump said this.
I am going to give a major speech on probably Monday of next week, and we're going to be discussing all of the things that have taken place with the Clintons. I think you're going to find it very informative and very, very interesting.
Now, he didn't know. Right?
I wonder if the press will want to attend. Who knows? Hillary Clinton turned the State Department into a private hedge fund. The Russians, the Saudis, the Chinese all gave money to Bill and Hillary and got favorable treatment in return. It's a sad day in America when foreign governments with deep pockets have more influence in our own country than our great citizens.
Project much? Holy crap. Okay, so June 6th, the meeting is confirmed. June 7th, he says, next week I'm going to have all this dirt on Hillary Clinton. I love it. But he doesn't know what he's going to have yet. That's why he said, I think you'll find it interesting. This is what the con man does, okay? He alludes all the time. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be interesting. This is going to come in quickly, strongly, whatever. A month later, on July 24th, 2016, after the meeting has occurred, Junior is asked about Russia hacking and Russia getting involved. And what's interesting about this date is this is 3 days before the Russians were called upon by Senior to go find Hillary's emails and the hacking began. And you know what today's date is? Yeah, today is July 27th, the day that Donald Trump said, Russia, if you're listening, I hope you can find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think the press would be always the press would be very interested, right? That was 2016, 2 years ago, today. And that was the day that the Russians hacked into Hillary Clinton's servers. That was the day. This is 3 days before, but after the Trump Tower meeting.
So I don't know if you were hearing earlier, but Robbie Mook, the campaign manager for Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, I asked him about the DNC leak, and he suggested that experts are saying that Russians were behind both the leak, the hacking of the DNC emails and their release. He seemed to be suggesting that this is part of a plot to help Donald Trump and hurt Hillary Clinton. Your response?
Well, it just goes to show you their exact moral compass. I mean, they'll say anything to be able to win this. I mean, this is time and time again, lie after lie. You notice he won't say, well, I say this. We hear experts. You know, his house cat at home once said that this is what's happening with the Russians. It's disgusting. It's so phony. I watched him bumble through the interview. I was able to hear it on audio a little bit. I mean, I can't think of bigger lies, but that exactly goes to show you what the DNC and what the Clinton camp will do. They will lie and do anything to win. You hear it with the DNC, where they're leaking emails about Bernie Sanders and his Jewish heritage to be able to try to destroy him in the South. It's a rigged system. It's disgusting, and the people should be fed up, because when I heard it, I certainly was. There's nothing wrong with a fair fight, Jake. I don't mind a fair fight, but these lies and the perpetuating of that kind of nonsense to try to, gain some political capital is just outrageous, and he should be ashamed of himself. If a Republican did that, they'd be calling for people to bring out the electric chair.
Okay, well, a Republican did do that, so bring out the electric chair? I don't know. He obviously was lying through his teeth, and then we got the story about the Donald Trump Sr. wrote an excuse note for Junior, right? He wrote an excuse letter, excusing him from, being able to draft his own defense or some such thing. And, this was about on Air Force One, and Hope Hicks was there. And, and they said, oh, he didn't meet with the Russians. That didn't happen. None of that ever happened. Well, okay, they did meet with the Russians, but it was about adoption. Oh, well, it's not really about adoption. Okay, so they did meet with the Russians, and it really wasn't about adoption. But it had nothing to do with sanctions or anything. Like, okay, he did meet with the Russians, and her name was Natalia Veselnitskaya, and yes, she was a Russian agent, but he didn't mean to do. Remember all that? And then they said, they sent Jay Sekulow out on the TV, Donald Trump's lawyer, besides for Rudy Giuliani now, right? And they sent Sekulow out on the TV. And they said, Jay, you go out there and you lie to the American people and you tell them that Junior wrote the letter. Donald Trump didn't write any letter. He doesn't know anything about Russians in Trump Tower. He has no idea that Junior met with the Russians. That's what you have to tell the American people. Well, of course he knew. First of all, he's the landlord at Trump Tower. And if Junior's going to have a party, his dad's going to want to know. Second, Steve Bannon said there is zero chance that Junior didn't walk those Irina Akhmetshin and the Aguilar's who made the entire Miss Universe pageant possible in 2013 for Donald Trump, right? The whole thing made it possible. And that same year is the year Bolton goes over to Russia. Bolton, our national security advisor, he goes over to Russia. The NRA Keene goes over to Russia. The vice president of the NRA goes over to Russia. Maria Butina's running around, and she's, taking pictures with Scott Walker of Wisconsin. I mean, just everybody, right? And she's a Russian spy. And, of course, all this is going on in the background. But they don't know nothing about Russians, this family. They don't know anything about, and especially Donald Trump Sr. doesn't know anything about Junior, and he doesn't know anything about Russians meeting in Trump Tower.
That was written by Donald Trump Jr. and I'm sure in consultation with his lawyer. So that wasn't written by the president. The president didn't sign off on anything, but the president was not involved in the drafting of the statement and did not issue the statement. It came from Donald Trump Jr.
He certainly didn't dictate, but, he, like I said, he weighed in, offered suggestion like any father would do.
Like any father would do. Yes, my father, if he were alive right now, would be writing me excuse notes about meeting with Russians. Except in that case, it would be my own family. You understand? I mean, oh, come on. This is so... And then, of course, the idea that they're all lying, I mean, that's out in the open, too, no? That's out in the open because when it was time for Trump's attorneys under oath to send a letter to Mueller about whether or not he wrote that excuse letter for Junior, who had a meeting with the Russians in Trump Tower, the lawyer would not commit the crime of suborning perjury from his client and wrote the truth. And he said, yes, Donald Trump dictated a letter for his son, and Jay Sekulow was made to be a complete and utter lying fool.
Remember, when this whole thing broke, the attorney for the president, Jay Sekulow, went on Meet the Press, and he said categorically the president had nothing to do with the drafting of this statement.
Right, he said it was Donald Trump Jr.'s lawyers.
Right, that was untruthful. And so maybe the assertion of attorney-client privileges here is buy time so they can get their story straight, which is in and of itself very problematic, and I don't think Mueller will find that at all availing.
Availing. Poor Mueller. This is probably why he handed off this whole part to New York, besides for the fact that you can't pardon state crimes, which I think is the primary reason. But who wants to deal with all these lying sacks of crap? Who wants to deal with all these liars? Michael Cohen, I don't know what to believe. Is he trying to get a deal? I don't know. Is he trying to, flip on Donald Trump? I don't know. Is he a good boy? Is he a bad boy? I don't know. They're all a bunch of liars. And that's why all we can do is make a timeline of the lies and follow the lies and wonder why they lie so much about meeting with Russians and getting dirt on Hillary Clinton and inviting hackers into our country, maybe even paying them. But again, we can't follow the money until we get the testimony from Walter White, Mr. Heisenberg.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. We begin with breaking news in our politics lead today. The longtime chief financial officer of the Trump administration, Allen Weisselberg, linked to payments to women who claim to have had sex with President Trump. Weisselberg has been subpoenaed to testify before a grand jury. The, quote, ultimate nightmare scenario for Trump, according to a Trump Organization employee who says that Weisselberg knows, quote, anything and everything about Mr. Trump's finances. The story, breaking this afternoon in the Wall Street Journal, coming as the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York tightens the screws in the investigation into former Trump fixer Michael Cohen. And it seems a clear sign officials are moving closer to the president's closest inner circle from his old company.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, it's the money train, everybody. Get on board the money train. Get off the Trump train because it's going to crash. It's crashing and burning. It is. It's going down, down, down. Once you get Heisenberg, the whole show's over. And he likes shows, right? He thinks this whole thing is like, some sort of a TV show, right? And how did Breaking Bad end? How did it end? With Heisenberg being discovered in a book in the bathroom. I mean, that's how simple it is. It's a book in the bathroom. It's always about the books. Please, Rob Reiner, do my movie. No, it's always about the books. And Heisenberg, Weisselberg, whatever, Walter White, he's got the books. And then we can follow the money. And that's the end of it. That's game over. That's it, everybody. So long. Stick a fork in him. He's done. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, dickhead. See you in Attica. All right, Christian in Miami.
Hello, Randi.
Hello, Christian.
There's something that we can't overlook, and I've been keeping an eye on this with regard to Cohen. Now, the recent news about Cohen and Trump Tower is not going to be the fatal blow, but it is another piece of circumstantial evidence.
Yes.
The fatal blow could potentially be whether or not Cohen was in Prague in 2016 during the election and whether or not he did in fact meet with Russian representatives to arrange payments to Russian hackers.
Yes.
That was reported by McClatchy a few months back.
Yes, it was.
Now, the news sources have been very quiet about that for a while.
Yes, they have.
But if Cohen makes a deal
Yes.
and he sings and he confirms that the dossier is correct, that he was in fact in Prague, it's game over. Trump is going down for conspiracy to violate numerous statutes under federal law.
Absolutely. Let me tell you what the Trump Tower meeting is. The Trump Tower meeting is obviously collusion and conspiracy to receive hacked documents from a foreign adversary and meeting with, foreign banks under sanction, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what that collusion, as we all know, is not a legal term, but that would be part of a conspiracy charge against Trump, Trump Jr. The whole damn family goes down. Michael Cohen goes down. And if Bannon is the person in the room who will corroborate what Michael Cohen is saying about the Trump Tower meeting, then we have not just collusion. I mean, collusion that you watched collusion in Helsinki. That right there on the TV that the whole world saw, that was collusion. But what we're looking for that's chargeable is conspiracy. And that meeting would be not just a piece of the puzzle, but it would be like, the major piece of the puzzle that would draw the conspiracy charge. The charge of treason. I guess, whatever whatever we call this, sedition, maybe, I don't know, whatever it is, the war crime or the violation of the oath of office, the real meat of the matter is whether or not Michael Cohen has proof that he, as Trump's lawyer, went to Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic, and went to the capital, went to Prague, and paid off a man known as I can't say these names, and it's weird because I'm Ukrainian. I should be able to say it. But his name is Konstantin Kosachev. And if Michael Cohen met with Konstantin Kosachev in Prague to pay him for hacking, game over. It's
game over. I agree. It's game over. I agree.
That's it.
Well, let's keep our eye on that.
Oh, well,
that's the key piece for the whole thing.
I just want you to know. See, I star the articles that are really, really important. You can see on all my articles, like this one I thought was important today, so there's a star upon it. And this one from April 13th this year, 2018, from McClatchy, actually has this information that you're talking about in it. And McClatchy is one of the greatest news sources in the history of the world. They're like the Associated Press. They're like Reuters. Okay, these are people who fact check. It doesn't get into the news. They're a service, and their articles appear in all, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. Now, of course, the New York Times, they create their own reporting, and they have fabulous reporters, not to say that they don't. But McClatchy is also a wire service, a news service, okay? And here is what they wrote in their article called, if you're looking for it, it's called Mueller Has Evidence That Trump... Yes.
That he was in Prague.
Yes.
He has evidence that Cohen was in Prague, yeah.
Oh, my God.
By his denials.
Yes.
Evidence he was there.
Yes. And let's read it, shall we? I'll just start on page 2 of the article entitled Mueller Has Evidence That Trump Confidant Went to Prague Despite Denials. McClatchy, Washington Bureau, okay? April 13th, 2018. It actually says it's unclear whether Mueller's investigators also have evidence that Cohen actually met with a prominent Russian, purportedly Konstantin Kosachev, an ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin in the Czech capital. Kosachev, who chairs the Foreign Affairs Committee of a body of the Russian legislature, the Federation Council, also has denied visiting Prague during 2016. Earlier this month, Kosachev was among 24 high-profile Russians hit with stiff U.S. sanctions in retaliation for Russia's meddling. But, and this is a big-ass but investigators have traced evidence that Cohen entered the Czech Republic through Germany, apparently during August or early September of 2016, as an ex-spy reported, said the sources who spoke on condition of anonymity because the investigation is confidential. He would not have needed a passport for such a trip because both countries are in the so-called Chechen area in which 26 nations operate with open borders. Now, yeah. So
yeah, I mean that's the key. That's the key to all of it. That's the key right there. If Cohen does in fact confirm all this, then Trump is going to go down.
So you know what I think? I think all these lawyers, the Sekulos, the Giulianis, all the people that have quit, they've all had this conversation, and they say we're either going to hang separately or we're going to hang together. And they've decided they're going to hang together, and they're going to try and besmirch Michael Cohen's reputation, which doesn't exist except in their heads when they were praising him as being an honest lawyer, a really good guy, like Giuliani did in that clip I played. But the truth of the matter is that Cohen has peeled off because Trump hurt his feelings. Trump doesn't help him with his legal bills. Trump didn't give him the chief of staff job. And Michael Cohen is pissed off and angry. Okay. And so if he's going to flip and he's leaking through Lanny Davis, a Clinton lawyer, that Michael Cohen's turned a corner. He wants to tell the truth. He wants to come clean. So here's a couple of snippets of what he can give. He can give a tape of Trump talking about Weisselberg knowing everything, right? He can give a tape of that, especially the payments to the women, which is really small potatoes, although that's an easy story for people to understand, right? And that's why that's important. And also Michael Avenatti is so deep into the financing of it that I swear Keith Davidson, there's so many people around that are going to go down because of this. But Weisselberg, oh my God. Okay, so he knows all the payment. He knows everything. So Cohen delivers him on a silver platter by releasing that tape through Lanny Davis. Then he doubles down and he says, oh, by the way, Senior knew the Russians were coming to Trump Tower. That's why on June 7th, he went out there and said he'd have dirt on Hillary Clinton after the weekend. The only reason why he didn't have dirt on Hillary Clinton after the weekend isn't because he didn't get it, which is their story now. It's because the Pulse nightclub shooting happened and he decided to call on them to hack instead and get more of her emails. Okay. That's why. But now Cohen might be saying, we all saw that story in the newspaper on April 13th that I was in Prague. I have proof. That's what I can give you.
Yeah. And okay, Randy.
And that's the pot of gold at the end of the Russian rainbow.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So thank you. That is exactly right. But I don't think, I just don't know. I mean, look, the idea that Michael Cohen has given us two tidbits, two pieces of information that are completely diametrically opposed to, what Trump has told the American people, what Trump's lawyers have told the American people, what Trump says on TV, what Trump says to his base, what Trump says in his Twitter feed, which Mueller is obviously looking at. Can you imagine that job? Can you imagine whoever's on Mueller's team that got the job to go through Donald Trump's Twitter feed? I hope you speak Trumpian. Because that crap is just like splattered against a wall. And, reading all caps all day will make your mind bend. But that's what they're doing. They're going through the all of the tweets. And Rudy actually said I don't know if you saw Rudy on Chris Cuomo last night, but my beloved CNN, you know how I love that channel. And so Rudy was on there last night with Chris Cuomo. Whoever Chris Cuomo's booker is, if anything ever happens to you, come work for me. You are freaking awesome. But they got Rudy last night, and Rudy decided to tell you that tweets can't be obstruction because, quote, if you're going to obstruct justice, you do it quietly and secretly, not in public. Again, Trump colluded with the Russians right there on the TV in Helsinki, broadcasting to the entire globe. And not just the free world. North Korea saw that swell. The freaking mullahs in Iran saw that swell. They saw our president kowtow, take a supine position. And remember when you were so mad at Obama because he wore tan pants and he bowed to the Saudis? Trump went over to the Saudis. Not only did he bow, but he did a sword dance. He had Rex Tillerson sword dancing. I mean, honest to God. And then he colluded with Vladimir Putin right in front of the entire freaking world in Helsinki. I mean, come on. The whole world saw that. But he says it can't be obstruction because you obstruct in private? Not this guy. This guy does nothing in private, Rudy. Nothing. Except for maybe having Russian hookers pee on a bed. That he does in private. Other than that, he's on tape saying he grabs women by the pee in public. He doesn't do anything in private, okay? Nothing. Not a damn thing. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And so if Mueller is up to, well, remember, the Weisselberg thing isn't Mueller. Mueller's not doing this. Mueller is not doing this. This is Southern District of New York, okay? This is a whole other thing. And Mueller gave it to the Southern District of New York, and he did it because, like I said, today is Friday, and I don't know if we're done Breaking Bad today. I don't know if we're done. And here's what I mean. This week, the freedom crackers, the white guys, the really, sycophantic white guys, the white nationalists, the supremacists who said that they were there to lower the deficit, by the way, which just hit $1 trillion. Hello. But that's why they were there. Okay, so they decided that they would bring articles of impeachment against Rod Rosenstein. And, of course, even Paul Ryan is not this stupid, so he said, no, that's not making it to the floor. We're going on vacation. Bye-bye. See you in September. Right? They're in recess, and that's important. Congress is in recess. Trump is all by himself. The freedom crackers gave him cover. They introduced articles of impeachment, much like Rod Rosenstein once wrote a letter saying that he didn't like the way Comey handled the Hillary email investigation. He didn't think he should have had a press conference. Remember that? Yeah, okay, so and he used that for cover until he sat down with Lester Holt, and then he said, no, I fired him because of this Russia thing. It was this whole Russia thing, which was just an excuse because the Democrats lost, and we all know the Electoral College prefers Democrats, even though she got 3 million more votes and didn't win the Electoral College. Okay. Welcome to Trumplandia, where the mind must bend to his will. But I'm afraid that before the day is out, Trump will dump a little, a little bomb in the diaper there and say, I'm so freaking pissed. This whole Michael Cohen thing, because apparently New York Times has him swearing, cursing, and screaming about Michael Cohen and that son of a bitch and everything else, that he'll fire Rosenstein. But if Cohen is going to be charged in New York, will it matter? If he is sitting on the pot of gold at the end of the Russian rainbow, which is proof that he was in Prague in August or September, paying off the Russian hackers on behalf of the Trump organization and Donald Trump himself. Will it matter? See what I mean? See how this goes? Everybody goes, oh, it's very hard to follow. It's really not. It's the same old, it's Breaking Bad. It really is. Doing illicit stuff and getting caught with the book by a guy named Heisenberg in the bathroom.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America. From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
No, I expected something like this from Cohen. He's been lying all week. I mean, he's been lying for years. I mean, the tapes that we have demonstrate any number of very serious lies by him back a year and a half ago, including his fooling people, hiding tape recordings, telling they weren't recorded, lying to their face, breaking faith with them, taping his client, which is a disbarable offense. I don't see how he has any credibility. I mean, this is basically if you had a trial, and there won't be a trial here, but if you had a trial, you'd say, well, which lie do you want to pick? You want to pick the first lie, the second lie, or maybe some new lie? There's nobody that I know that knows him that hasn't warned me that if he's back is up against the wall, he'll lie like crazy, because he's lied all his life.
All right, so the flip on it is this. To do that to me, to tell me a lie, that's the media, what's the recompense? To go to Bob Mueller and say, he knew I was in the meeting, he heard his son puts his son in the mix here also. The son told him he supported it. He says, according to our reporting, there were other people in the room. So this is something that Bob Mueller should be able to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Well, the question isn't what happened in the room.
Yes,
the question
it is.
What did the president know, as you said, and Bernstein said, what did he know and when did he know it? So it would have to be people in the room with the president that can corroborate Cohen, which there won't be because it didn't happen. And then it becomes a credibility contest between 2 or 3 witnesses who say one thing and Cohen who says another.
Assuming they say different things.
I'm pretty comfortable about that. I haven't had a chance to go back and look at all of it, but I remember it pretty well.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that he's just not credible. I would not accept him as a witness, as a prosecutor. If Mueller has any other kind of case, this is the kind of witness that can really destroy your whole case. Because any finder of fact loses confidence in the case when you rely on a guy like this. When you rely on a guy where, before you're finished with him, you're going to have such a string of lies, you just can't trust him. And you put him under this kind of pressure, and what's his history been? His history has been lying under pressure.
It's just so funny. Pot, meat, kettle. You know what I mean? You just can't trust Michael Cohen because he lies. He's a liar. He's been Trump's attorney for 12 long years. Rudy Giuliani said he was an honest lawyer. He said he was. I mean, the lying that went on with Jay Sekulow, the lying that went on with Junior, which we've already shown you. Okay, the lying that Donald Trump does, let alone the 3,000 lies documented by PolitiFact and the Washington Post and the New York Times fact checker and all the other fact checkers. I mean, the only people that are doing good in this economy, because we got the numbers today, the only people doing well because wages are still flat and they always will be because this is redistribution. This is income inequality at its finest. 4.1% GDP, right? 4.1%. And the only people that feel it are the top 1%. That is income inequality. That is oligarchy. That is an autocracy. And that is what we are experiencing. But that said, here's what you got. You got Rudy Giuliani lying then and now, right?
Are you concerned at all that Michael Cohen's going to cooperate with prosecutors?
No, I expect that he is going to cooperate with them. I don't think they'll be happy with it because he doesn't have any incriminating evidence about the president or himself. The man is an honest, honorable lawyer, and Cohen's been lying all week. I mean, he's been lying for years. I mean, there's nobody that I know that knows him that hasn't warned me that if he's back is up against the wall, he'll lie like crazy because he's lied all his life. The man is an honest, honorable lawyer. No, I expected something like this.
Okay. So poor Southern District of New York, okay? They have nothing but liars to deal with, okay? So you had Sekulow lying about dictating the letter. No, Donald Trump Jr.'s attorney dictated the letter about the Russia meeting and said it was about Donald Trump didn't do that. Donald Trump didn't do that. Donald Trump didn't know about the meeting. He didn't know that Jr. was busy meeting with Russians, except that the day after that Russia meeting was confirmed, he said,
I am going to give a major speech on probably Monday of next week, and we're going to be discussing all of the things that have taken place with the Clintons. I think you're going to find it very informative and very, very interesting. I wonder if the press will want to attend. Who knows?
Who knows? Okay, so that was the day after the meeting was actually inked in, and it was, arranged and to happen in 2 days, all right?
I have like this photographic memory. I have such a good memory. I mean, I have a good memory, like a great memory. People know me for my memory. One of the great memories of all time.
The statement that was released on Saturday was released by Donald Trump Jr., and I'm sure in consultation with his lawyers. The president wasn't involved in that.
The New York Times has reporting that the president okayed the statement.
Well, they're incorrect. I do want to be clear. The president was not involved in the drafting of the statement and did not issue the statement. It came from Donald Trump Jr.
He certainly didn't dictate, but, he, like I said, he weighed in, offered suggestion like any father would do.
Now this letter from the president's lawyers say very, very clearly he dictated the statement. How do you explain those shifting explanations?
I think Jay was wrong. I mean, this is the reason you don't let the president testify. Our recollection keeps changing.
This is from a letter from the outside counsel, and I direct you to them to answer that question.
You said he did not dictate. The lawyer said he did.
What is it?
I'm not going to respond to a letter from the president's outside counsel. We purposely walled off, and I would refer you to them for comment.
Oh! Don't you love videotape? And everybody was like, isn't he going to get caught? Is it? Of course. Of course he's going to get caught. Of course he is. Okay, so you got Secular lying. You got Rudy lying. You got Junior on the TV lying. You got Rudy vouching for Michael Cohen's honesty, then vouching for the fact that he's lied his whole life. You got him vouching for he's an honest lawyer. He's got nothing incriminating about the president or himself. And now we know Michael Cohen not only has incriminating stuff on the president with regard to the Russia meeting, not only does he have incriminating stuff on the president, and he's handing over Walter White. He's handing over Weisselberg on the tape. I already talked to Allen Weisselberg. And it's all arranged. It's all arranged. You're going to buy this story from... Oh, and now I know why. I understand why now because, you know, newspapers, they're the greatest. And in the newspaper today, it says that the reason why Donald Trump was trying to buy back Karen McDougal's story from David Peckerhead at AMI, which is the owner of the National Enquirer, he bought that story, Catch and Kill. He bought that story from Karen McDougal so that he would never publish it and paid her $150,000 and told her she would get a column about health and wellness or something like that. And they even renege on that. I mean, a simple little thing. And they renege on it. And because they didn't keep their end of the deal, she's free to go on TV and say, I loved him. I love that man. Ugh. Pretty girl, dumb as a rock. No taste in men. Let's just put it that way, okay? No taste. However, the reason they were trying to buy back the story is because David Pecker was looking at retiring. He was looking at quitting over at AMI, and they were worried about who might come in and see that story and say, that's a really good story during the election. Let's release the story. So 2 weeks before we voted, Cohen says, I already talked to Allen Weisselberg. He's got a phony company set up. You can transfer the funds through this phony company to David Pecker, and he'll sell you back. He'll sell you back all the stuff on Karen McDougal that he has. That's what they were talking about. That is sick, but that's what they were talking about. And, of course, David Pecker said, no, I'm not quitting. And so the deal was called off. They didn't have to pay him. He said, oh, your secret's safe with me, Donnie, you know, because I love hanging out at your $200,000 a year membership-only members club, which is also your house at Mar-a-Lago, but only during the winter months. Summer is brutal. It's just too humid. It's freaking July, and I'm still sitting right here, okay? Toughen up, everybody. Toughen up, Peckerhead. So you got this whole bunch of liars. But like we said, if Michael Cohen has... And everybody's saying, Rudy's going, well, you know, it's... I mean, Chris Cuomo said, but what if it is true? What if he really can bring witnesses that were in the room and they tell... that, yeah, the Russians were not only introduced to Trump ahead of that meeting, you know, and brought upstairs because, remember, Steve Bannon says there's zero. See, Steve Bannon can't be one of the witnesses because he's already said something that kind of extrapolates him from being a witness. He's smart. He said there is zero chance that Donald Trump didn't bring the Russians up to meet Dad, right? That's what his... So... Unless, well, he's a liar too, but you know, he's very busy in Europe being the head Nazi now, and he's very fulfilled by this. You know, he's very fulfilled by his white supremacist hopes and dreams. This is what's going to get him through the rest of his life. So, you know, he's hanging out with Italy's, prime minister and banning, Roma gypsies or something. This gives him pleasure. This makes him hard. So, he's kind of out of the picture, except for Cambridge Analytica and that whole Mercer portion. Oh, God, Weisselberg, let me see the books. I can't wait. Who paid Brad Parscale? Oh, it's going to be so exciting. But, okay, so they're all lying, and they're lying about the cover-up story.
I have, like, this photographic memory. I have such a good memory. I mean, I have a good memory, like a great memory. People know me for my memory. One of the great memories of all time.
The statement that was released on Saturday was released by Donald Trump Jr., and I'm sure in consultation with his lawyers. The president wasn't involved in that.
Well,
That
the New York
wasn't written
Times
by the
has
president.
reporting that the president okayed the statement.
Well, they're incorrect. I do want to be clear. The president was not involved in the drafting of the statement and did not issue the statement. It came from Donald Trump Jr.
He certainly didn't dictate, but, you know, he, like I said, he weighed in, offered suggestion like any father would do.
Now this letter from the president's lawyers say very, very clearly he dictated the statement. How do you explain those shifting explanations?
I think Jay was wrong. I mean, this is the reason you don't let the president testify. If, you know, our recollection keeps changing.
Our recollection. I got one of the greatest memories. Recollection keeps changing. So it's so interesting because Rudy Giuliani was asked last night, what if it's true?
If it's true, indulge me for a moment. If it's true, if Cohen's telling the truth, I was there, I heard the son, he said, this is what I've got. The president, or then candidate Trump, said, great, let me know. And it happened. What do you think that means legally for the president?
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to analyze it. I
Then don't go on
assume that
TV.
hypothetical, because it's so contrary to all the facts that I know up until now. I'm not going to assume that. And I'm not going to argue, well, even if it happened, it may not be as significant as all of the anti-Trump people are going to blow it up to. But I honestly don't think it's that significant. But in any event, that doesn't matter.
It's not
It didn't happen.
significant.
That's
If
our
Donald
position.
Trump
The
knew
only
the
way we
Russians
know
were
it
there.
didn't happen is because Trump Jr. says it didn't happen, and the president says it didn't happen.
Correct. And a person who is found to be an incredible liar, who's got a tremendous motive to lie now because he's got nothing to give,
How do you
says
know
all of a sudden at the 11th hour. I don't think anybody believes that, Chris.
All right, well, we'll see, right? We'll see if Mueller wants to take the meeting, if he wants to hear.
Well, I don't
the
know.
proffer.
I don't know why he wouldn't take the meeting. You want to hear it, but then the question becomes, can he corroborate it?
Right.
If he can't corroborate it, it's useless.
So who was in the meeting? We go right back to square one. Okay, so we know Manafort was in the meeting. He's going on trial, Tuesday. I got the witness list here. And jury selection will start on Tuesday. That's going to take a few days right there. Has anybody seen this story in the news? Oh, voir dire should be just a woo hoot. All right, so Manafort's in there, but he's a liar, so you can't really use him. Jared was in the meeting, right? Bannon says he wasn't in the meeting, but he's pretty sure that there's zero chance. This is his quote. There's zero chance that Junior didn't take the Russians up to meet Daddy, right? So you could kind of have that. You know who was in the meeting? Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn. He's cooperating. Michael Flynn.
Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
The president says that he has an eye for talent and he always has the best people around. I'm sure you won't disagree with that when you're involved. He put his trust in this man for years. He entrusted him with his most sensitive matters and said, I gave him full discretion to do things I didn't need to know. It's a fundamental aspect of the president's narrative of what happened with the women. Why did he have somebody so close to him
Chris,
if the guy is so incredible?
That's kind of part of the human condition, right? I mean, we all make mistakes about people who turn out to be disloyal to us. Benedict Arnold was disloyal to George Washington, our greatest president, right? So anybody can, Brutus and Caesar. I mean, you can go back to ancient classical literature and you can find people who you think you trust and they turn out to be scoundrels. I saw the president when the president first found out that he had been taped. And the president was completely shocked.
Oh, I believe that.
And he wasn't angry. President Trump can get angry sometimes.
That's a lie.
He was disappointed, almost like a father who's been betrayed by his son.
Oh, my God. Disappointed. No. Here's what is being reported by the Daily Beast. As President Donald Trump absorbed the news that Michael Cohen, his former personal attorney and notorious fixer, had released a secret recording of the two of them, he did what he usually does in such situations, swore and groused loudly. That son of a bitch! He's dead to me now! You're dead to me now, Fredo! You're dead to me now! I don't want him touched till mother dies. It's just Oh, God, they're such drama queens on top of being evil. They're drama queens. It's just amazing. Two sources who have spoken to Trump about Cohen this week said the president was furious, hurling expletives. Per one confidant, after CNN revealed Cohen had covertly recorded at least one of their conversations on Tuesday, the cable network published audio provided to it by Cohen's attorney of Trump and his former fixer discussing purchasing the rights of former Playboy playmate Karen McDougal. Karen, you're a beautiful girl. No taste in men. I mean, what is that? If I had half your looks, oh my God. And look, I don't, and I still ended up with a good guy. What is your problem? Alleging she had an affair with Trump. American Media Inc., the parent company of the National Enquirer, owns the rights to the story, and David Pecker, a longtime Trump ally, helmed AMI. But according to a source familiar with the Trump-Cohen conversation, Pecker had told Trump he was considering leaving AMI, prompting fears in Trump land that a new leader at the company could decide to publish McDougal's story. And those fears prompted Trump and Cohen to look into buying the rights to the story themselves, according to the source. Ultimately, Pecker had stayed at AMI, and Trump didn't purchase the story rights. I mean, how many people are going to get in the mud with this dude? How many freaking people? So Cuomo says, you keep sitting here telling me Michael's a liar, there's no credibility. Okay, we all get it. You're a liar, Michael's a liar, Sekulow is a liar, Junior is a liar. We get everyone around Trump is a liar. Flynn lied. He's actually pled guilty to lying to freaking federal investigators, for God's sake, right? Rick Gates, Manafort's partner in crime, the Trump campaign manager, goes on trial on Tuesday. He's a liar. Rick Gates, his partner, he pled guilty to lying. Who around Trump isn't a liar would be an easier question. And then, of course, you have Trump himself.
Michael Cohen has a credibility issue.
Yes, he does. They all do.
You got it. So does your client.
Mm-hmm.
Your client has a credibility issue. He has said things that are not true, and this week became an example of that. The idea that he didn't know anything about Karen McDougal until after the fact seems to be disproved by that tape. How no?
Nothing on that
We'll
tape.
go one by one.
I told you the key part of that tape that they were pushing on was the check or no check thing.
Which I never understood, but make your case first.
Well,
I understood your case. I don't understand the significance.
They wanted
Go
to
ahead.
say that he wanted to do this transaction in cash, which of course is absurd. It was a corporate transaction.
Right.
You can't do it in cash. So trying to attribute those words to him was like forcing an interpretation of what is in fact a tape that has to be carefully analyzed on people. The idea of a cash transaction here is absurd. The idea of check makes it clear that the president wanted a memorialization of it, wasn't afraid of it. That's important. It's important to mental state. It's important to, did he have an intent to deceive, which he didn't. The president hasn't done anything wrong here. As far as the president not telling the truth, he's told, there's nothing that contradicts what he said about this investigation. Not a darn thing.
Well, except...
How about the tape? How about the tape with you? Cohen says, I set it up with Stormy Daniels. I paid it. I paid it out of my own pocket. I did it for the family. I didn't do it for campaign purposes. That is word for word exactly the version we have, not only from the president, but from all the people around the president.
All right.
That corroborates our case and kind of throws the Stormy Daniels thing out of the picture. So he kind of screwed himself on that.
All right.
So
well,
what does he have left?
Let's take it one at a time.
He has this ridiculous collusion thing. So it's got to go a lot further than this, by the way.
All right, but let's
did Trump ever meet with Russians? Did he ever agree with them? What do you mean he colluded? The Russians hacked. Nobody thinks the president was involved in the hacking.
Yes, we do.
Did he get the fruits of it unknowingly? No.
No.
But if he did, that's not a crime.
I don't know. Either he's old and senile or he's just a real... look, we've just laid out like everybody around Donald Trump, including Donald Trump, his son, including his lawyer, including his national security advisor, Michael Flynn. His campaign manager, Paul Manafort, is facing 2 trials. One starts next week, right? I mean, for fraud, bank fraud, and lying about every dollar he ever made. And okay. But he says the only one that's telling the truth, Donald Trump, he always tells. And did he get the fruits of the Russian hacking? No. This is where he wants to go? No, he didn't. And by the way, Trump lied on Air Force One. He was asked about payments to women. He was asked if he knew about Michael Cohen's payments. And he said, and this is recent. This isn't even old. This is just a couple. This is like not too long ago on Air Force One. He's already the president, right? He's on Air Force One, for God's sake. And they ask him. And he says, no, I didn't know anything about payments. But he's true.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels? Then why did Michael Cohen make it if there was no truth or allegation?
Well, you have to ask Michael Cohen. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael.
The president's been clear that he hasn't done anything wrong. I think we've stated that about 1,000 times.
Then Michael Cohen?
Why isn't that
having something?
Where's Mueller on that, sir?
Having something to do with paying some Stormy Daniels woman $130,000? I mean, which is going to turn out to be perfectly legal. That money was not campaign money.
They funneled it through a law firm.
Funneled through a law firm, and the president repaid it.
Wait a minute. You just said that the president is an honest guy. And for the entire time that we've known about Stormy Daniels, the entire time that we've known about Karen McDougal having an affair. Now, Karen McDougal, I love that man. I don't understand. Stormy was like, were you attracted to him? Hell no. I just, did it for money. Okay, so I like Stormy better. Because she's honest and doesn't have crappy taste in men. She just, she doesn't pretend to be anything other than somebody that sells sex as for a living. That's an honest way to make a living, if you ask me. I'm telling you, if I looked, half as good as they did, I'd be on a poll. Right now, I'd be on a poll. I'd be on a poll till 5 o'clock, and then we're just stuffing cash, instead of asking you to support the show. I'd be stuffing cash into my bra. I'd be in my panties. You could take it out with your teeth if I could stand on a pole. No hang-ups. But I don't look like them, so I got to ask you to support the show. But I mean, honest to God, for how long were we told that Stormy Daniels was a liar and that Karen McDougal didn't exist and that she was a liar when we found out she did exist? And then we saw her on CNN being interviewed, and he said, she's lying. I never, ever had an affair with, I don't know her. And then idiot boy Giuliani goes on with Sean Hannity and breaks the bad news to all the Cult 45 members. Oh, no, the president, he paid. But it's not a campaign violation. What? But you're sitting there telling me that Michael Cohen has a credibility problem and this is why there can't be a case. Listen, Rudy, I got news for you. Everybody around your client, including your client, you and the other lawyers, except some of them quit because they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't make them, so they couldn't hold their nose anymore and stand over that poo-filled shitter and say, this is gold, this is good, I can defend this. No, they quit. And you sit on the TV and you say things like, this is why you don't want the president to testify because, his recollection keeps changing. I got the best memory. I got the best people. Well, if he has the best people, Rudy, then why was Michael Cohen a piece of crap now when for 12 years he handled the most sensitive stuff that, Trump trusted him with everything. Everything, every secret, every dirty payout, every single thing that was ever done, behind the backs of Melania. That's who you say you protect. Oh, I did it for the family. I mean, honestly, who is a truth teller around? No. And so it's going to come down to Weisselberg. It's going to come down to the bookkeeper. It's going to come down to Heisenberg like it always does. And then the show is over. But if Michael Cohen can corroborate the story that Donald Trump knew about the Russians and that Junior took him upstairs and they met, then you got more than collusion. You got a conspiracy to defraud the United States. Because then you also have the president on TV going, Russia, if you're listening, I hope you, right? Which today is the 2-year anniversary of the hacking. Today is the 2-year anniversary of him saying that. Now, they had hacked the DNC prior to that, but then they really, in earnest, started hacking Hillary, and that's how we got John Podesta's emails. Oh, and by the way, Claire McCaskill was just recently hacked. Unsuccessfully, but it's the same MO. They spoofed her. You know what they did? They the Russians created a page that looked like a Microsoft login page, okay? And for the Senate, for the staff, Senate staff, saying your password has expired, you need to reset it. So we call that phishing, right, when they do that? But the site looked exactly like the Senate login page. The Russians have spared no expense, and they made a spoof page of the Senate staff login page. And Microsoft actually has spoofed pages like that now going to a dead terminal so that they can block anybody who puts in their password from it getting to the Russians. That's how we caught them, okay? That's how we know. And so it was an unsuccessful attempt, but I just wanted you to know how they do it, and this is what they did to Podesta. They sent him an email, it looked like a Google page, said, your password expired for, your Gmail or whatever it was, to reset your password, and when he did, the password went to him, went to the Russians. So now they had his username and password, and they logged into his account and took all his emails.
Hey, Randy, I've actually have gotten emails like that in the past.
I get them all the time. To reset my password. And you know what? I've gotten into the habit of making them send me a text to give me an authentic. I can't say that word.
I can't even say it now either.
I know. Me and you, we have that.
Authentication.
No, authentication.
Fancy guy.
Authenticate. See, nobody can say it. You see that? And I used to say subsidy instead of substid. No, I used to say that one. I can't say that either.
Yeah, that one.
That used to bug my listeners to the point where I actually had to teach myself how to say subsidy. Subsidy. Because people would call, you got the grammar police out there. You got all that. Right? You really do. God forbid there's a period outside. See, now this is interesting because I read the Guardian newspaper, which is a UK-based newspaper. They put the period outside the quotation marks. In America, where you think we speak English, oh no, we speak American, the period goes inside the quotation mark. So every time I read the Guardian, I think it's a spoof site, or I think that you're right, because the grammar is not familiar. Because the English put the period outside the quote. I don't know why. But anyway, you got all this lying going on. Oh, well, our recollection keeps changing. I got the best memory. I got the best people. Well, you said Michael Cohen was one of the best people. Well, he's not. He's a piece of crap. I got the best words. And meanwhile, whoever's going through these tweets is tearing their hair out of their head going, how do you read all caps all the time?
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
I actually want to start with the news about this letter that the president's lawyers wrote to the special counsel back in January. His legal team admits that the president himself dictated that statement on the Trump Tower meeting. And this is what the letter says. It says, quote, the president dictated a short but accurate response to the New York Times article on behalf of his son, Donald Trump Jr. That's a direct contradiction to what the White House said last year. Take a listen.
That was written by Donald Trump Jr. and I'm sure in consultation with his lawyer. So that wasn't written by the president. The president didn't sign off on anything. The president was not involved in the drafting of the statement and did not issue the statement. It came from Donald Trump Jr.
He certainly didn't dictate, but, he, like I said, he weighed in, offered suggestion like any father would do.
Mr. Leader, are you bothered by the fact that the White House lied about the president's involvement here?
Dana, first of all, thank you for having me.
Oh, God.
Look, the one thing I have found, this has gone on for more than a year. Millions of dollars has been spent. The White House has been cooperating all the way through. This was all based upon, was there collusion involved in the election? Everyone has looked at this as there's no collusion going forward.
Mr. Leader, I understand that those are the talking points, but this is a specific question. Are you concerned that the White House, you heard the sound bites, you saw the statement from his own lawyers, they lied? Yet, does that concern you?
They can go on with the investigation. What I was concerned most about, like most Americans, was there any collusion? There was no collusion. This has gone on for more than a year. It's been investigated in so many different manners. What I'm really concerned about is, look at what our economic numbers are. Look at North Korea's meeting going through. Look at the trade discussions we're having. And this is the #1 question we're following through.
Yes, we want to know whether or not the Russians picked our president. Sorry, Kevin McCarthy. This is why you will never be Speaker of the House, because the Democrats will be in the majority. So bye-bye, dickhead. Do you know what I'm saying? And Jim Jordan, he threw his name in the ring this week, too, to be the Speaker of the House after the blue wave. And believe me, the Speaker of the House will be a Democrat after the blue wave. But Jim Jordan, don't you have some children to watch being molested in a shower by a wrestling coach? Aren't you, isn't your dance card full? I mean, these people are all liars. They are all world heavyweight champion liars. I've never seen anything like this crew. And they go, well, all politicians lie. Yes, but they don't lie about Russians hacking into presidential candidates and Democratic congressional candidates and software companies that go into the voting machines in Florida. They don't spread memes about candidates that they're pedophiles when obviously Jim Jordan knows a few pedophiles. And the former Speaker of the House, Fat Danny Hastert, was a pedophile and is still sitting in freaking jail because he's a pedophile. I mean, honestly. Oh, YouTube punished Alex Jones for hate speech this week, finally. What was his punishment? It was like 30 days. He's suspended or something like this? Yeah, 30 days. 30 days for saying that the children in Sandy Hook aren't really dead, that they were crisis actors, and trashing the Sandy Hook families because he loves guns that much. America's got a problem with the things that they choose to love. It's almost like it's a country full of Karen McDougalls. I'm not saying you're not good-looking people out there, but you got really lousy tastes in presidents. You got terrible taste in Congress members. You got terrible taste in economic policy. I mean, listen, let me just play you some of the stuff about what happened to our economy, okay? Yes, 4.1% growth. Obama almost had 5% growth. There were 4 quarters in Obama's presidency where we were above 4%. Nobody made a big damn deal about it. You know why? Because he was Obama, #1. And #2, because ordinary people were still struggling. And they are today as well. And that's because of wealth redistribution. All the breaks go to the top. And all this growth, I'll tell you what all this growth is. The Chinese and other countries ordered so many things for export. Soybeans. I think a quarter of the GDP was in soybeans, believe it or not. People ordering, not because all of a sudden the whole world wants, we don't have enough soybeans. We just love those things. No, because they're stocking up because they know there's going to be a tax on them. And that's what prompted all this growth in the economy is the exports and stock buybacks. And yet business has not reinvested in their own business because why would they? You're working for slave wages. And the president is talking about, dusting off a Depression era bailout for farmers because the soybean exports are done. It's not going to be a repeat in the next quarter or the fourth quarter. All right, here, look.
This is fundamentally all of this economic mumbo-jumbo that you and I enjoy and Kevin enjoys. What it comes down to, and what I'm going to get tweets about, is I haven't had the raise.
Right.
I'm working 2 jobs.
Right.
It's a weird situation to be in where we have 4% unemployment. We have a 4 in front of GDP growth, quarterly GDP growth, and yet we've got this intractable problem of workers who are not seeing what they look at in the stock market, what they look at in GDP growth. How do we fix that?
Well, there's a word for that, and it's called economic inequality, and it certainly predated Kevin Hassett and the Donald Trump administration. This has been a structural problem in our economy, and you ask how we fix it, that's exactly the right question. It has to do with the bargaining power of middle and low-wage workers. That's a long-term erosion. It has to do with diminished union power. It has to do more recently with court decisions that really tilt against workers and their ability to claim their fair share of the growth. It has to do with the increased power of finance. I think it does have to do with the fact that we've run large trade deficits for many, many years, and that's hurt our manufacturers. So there's a lot of economic policy architecture that's eroded the connection between GDP growth and middle-class paychecks.
Which is also what you can say about the stock market, right? People used to think if the stock market's up the way it's been for the last year and a half, you should have higher wages.
Just a quick comment here. And I think that what's so key about this is to understand GDP growth in context. We like that 4% number, even if it's just a blip and not that sustainable.
Right.
We even like the 2.5% trend growth rate. But let's not over-interpret GDP to be more than it is. It leaves out a lot, including who's getting the benefits of that growth.
So stock buybacks made the very rich people go out and buy more crap. That's what it is. Overseas, they bought a ton of soybeans, but they're not ordering any more soybeans because they're afraid that if they order more soybeans, first of all, they stocked up ahead of these tariffs and this tax, right? And they don't need any more soybeans. So this is just a ridiculous thing that he did today with this dog and pony show about, and Obama, I got to tell you, Obama had, at least at 2014, I think we almost hit 5% GDP. You still didn't feel it because of income inequality. And the tax cuts went to the wealthy, and therefore that was like the economy's on a sugar high. The very rich people have more money than they know what to do with. It's not solving any of our problems, but he made a big damn deal.
When Republicans slashed the corporate tax rate from 35 down to 21%, President Trump promised the tax savings would trickle down to American workers, a promise repeated over and over again, including by Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Well, now some companies have offered one-time pay bonuses to their workers since the new tax law was enacted. But when you look closer at the numbers, many of those companies also announced thousands of layoffs and no raises right as they spent billions and billions of dollars to finance huge stock buybacks, which serve shareholders. For example, Walmart announced a $20 billion buyback program in September, just days after the Republicans introduced their tax plan outline. And when the tax plan became law in January, Walmart received praise when it announced $1,000 bonuses for some of their employees and increased entry-level pay to $11 an hour. But it then quietly laid off almost 10,000 workers after announcing it was closing 63 Sam's Club stores.
The same day.
Same day. Meanwhile, AT&T announced $20 billion in stock buybacks over the next 2 years after receiving praise for offering $1,000 bonuses to some of its employees. But then AT&T turned around and laid off 1,600 employees across the country. How about Wells Fargo, which announced plans to buy back nearly $19 billion of its own stock? Also announced plans to close more than 800 bank branches over the next 2 years, even as it admits to making out big from the new tax law. How about Qualcomm? Also announced a new $10 billion buyback program on May 9th. This came after the company fired more than 1,500 people across California and an undisclosed number of people across the United States. In fact, stock repurchases, these are buybacks for the S&P 500, hit an all-time high of 189, wait for it, $1 billion in the first 3 months of 2018. So far, Trump tax cuts for companies is barely trickling down to the American worker. Instead, it is lining the pockets of shareholders.
I mean, honest to God, people, wake the F up. Obama did have, 4 quarters of over 4% GDP growth and all that. And you didn't feel it. You didn't feel it, okay? This stimulus of a tax bill that created all of these stock buybacks, the $1 trillion worth of wealth he's talking about today, that, it was crazy. Yeah, it's on our tab. We're going to pay for it because that is what the deficit is. $1 trillion. He put $1.3 trillion on our backs so that the very, very wealthy could sit there today and give him a target. Oh, I created so much wealth. Yes, but not for me and not for anybody else that, isn't in the top 10% or the top 1/10 of 1/10%, whatever. He's such a fraud. He's such a phony. And he, but he is on a sugar high today. Oh, he really is, because he thinks that this economic news, he's claiming that we haven't seen this in decades. That's bull crap. The last time that we were over 4% GDP was 2014. He's just a liar, is all it is. Now, I'm glad that some people in the economy are doing well, but workers aren't. Wages didn't go up. No, and you know what did go up? Inflation. Things are costing 1.8% more, almost 2% inflation. They're going to raise your interest rates now. So there goes your credit card gets more expensive. Your home mortgage gets more expensive unless you're in a 30-year fixed or a 15-year fixed. If you're in a ARM, an adjustable rate, that goes up. Your interest rate on your credit card. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is so stupid. And I got to tell you, the idea that everybody's suddenly doing better, there are people in Trumplandia, there are Cult 45 members who are now, because he said they're doing better, even though they still don't have two nickels to rub together, even though they're working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, because each job doesn't pay a living wage, which we could fix if we had Democrats that were, in the majority and had the presidency too. I mean, he talked this great game today. Oh, soon Alex Azar is going to come up with a really great health care plan. He's been saying this since the day he got there. There is no really great health care plan. There are companies out there that are now selling health care plans that don't cover anything. If you ever go to the doctor, it won't cover anything. And people are thrilled, he says. They're so happy that they can buy these sham health care plans just like they used to. And the Cult 45 people, they're like, yay, I could buy crappy health insurance that doesn't cover any doctor visits or any prescription drug or any MRI or any procedure or any surgery or any pill or... Oh, my God. He's such a liar. And I think today we have shown you that everybody around him is a liar. I've never seen anything quite like this. Do presidents color things? Do they lie? I wouldn't even call it a lie. I mean, George Bush lied about weapons of mass destruction. That was a freaking world heavyweight champion lie. And a lot of people around him, repeated that lie. Colin Powell, for one, Dick Cheney obviously was a liar too. And look what we got by going along. And now you'll look at me straight in the face, straight in the eyes, and you'll say to me, oh, I didn't vote for him. Well, somebody did, and it wasn't me. The Supreme Court did, I'll give you that. But that was only the first time. You voted for him again, remember? But you'll look me straight in the eye. I didn't vote for him. All right, listen, everybody. Speaking of small business, we have one here. Please support the show. Thank you very much. And also our fabulous advertiser, Herky Jerky. HerkyJerky.com. Jason is sitting there waiting to take your order. These are the last few days, July, the end of July, the last few days to get $7 off the bacon jerky packs. And these are giant packs. And, bacon is my favorite. And he asked me what to put on sale this month. I said bacon. So just go to herkyjerky.com. Get $7 off of the packs of bacon jerky. Please support the show. Have a great weekend. Let's see what else happens. Hopefully Friday is done and we won't get any more news. But you never freaking know with this guy. Just remember, Congress is on vacation and he's, running the store. This is kind of freaky. But enjoy. Bye, Stinking Podcast.